There's a McDonald's in the Pentagon.
I
I
got it
work at
going.
the
Let's go.
McDonald's in the Pentagon.
All right, that's enough of that. Um,
Welcome back to the Chatting Average. In between bus working
Hello.
and Mesa basketball playoff games.
let's go.
Women's and men's tonight. In D2, they play back-to-back. It's a big deal.
Hang on. Yeah, that's much better.
I mean, well, we already
That is
introed the
much
show, so like, are we just gonna keep going?
This is
Yeah.
the Chatting Average. My name is Adam. I'm alongside John. That's also John. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you're probably very confused right now, and that's too bad. So this week, we have what division? The National League Central to preview. And honestly, I think we can all agree that the National League Central is the most entertaining division in baseball. By far.
Sure.
I have a question. John, is he kidding? Is he joking?
Yeah. Yes. What?
All right, I just want to make sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you guys think the Cardinals are going to win the division? Because I'm going to tell you
No.
that the Cardinals are going to win the division.
Didn't you say that last year, too?
Yes. And then Cody Bellinger signed 3 days later. And then it didn't matter because the Brewers won the division. And
Have you ever heard of Einstein's definition of insanity?
I will not be
Dude.
saying that the Cardinals are going to win the division this year.
So
Maybe.
for those of you, for those who know, the
Maybe
NL
not.
Central has 5 teams in it: the Milwaukee Brewers,
Just like every
the
other
Chicago
one.
Cubs, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Pittsburgh Baseball Pirates. And we're going to go through them. The way we go
We
through
are.
these things is
Yeah.
we start at the bottom and we go to the top based on last year's standings. So I'm not going to steal anyone else's thunder. I felt like I just kind of led into that. So I'll let you two do the procedural.
The procedural, first and foremost, is that this is part 4. I held up a 5. It's 4. Part 4 of a 6-part series where we're previewing every single division here in Major League Baseball before the Major League Baseball season kicks off just a couple weeks away. Very exciting stuff here on the Chatting Average. If you missed the last 3 episodes, that's okay. You can find them on Spotify. You can find them on Apple Podcasts. You can find them through a carrier pigeon if you happen to own a carrier pigeon. They're very
Yeah,
light.
just send it to me out here in Columbia, Missouri. I'll send you the transcript back.
Yeah.
Or
Put
a
on little-
USB drive. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, as
Transcript
this
only.
is part 4 of the 6-part series, we are, of course, as mentioned before, talking about the National League Central. As Mr. Sansoni brought us in, we're going worst to best, talking about what changed in the offseason for each team, and finishing worst in the National League Central last year were the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mr. Lieber, what do we know about the Pittsburgh Pirates?
The Pirates lost in the offseason. Aroldis Chapman, Jalen Beeks, Yasmani Grandal, Marco Gonzalez, Brian De La Cruz, Connor Joe, and Luis Ortiz. However, they added Spencer Horowitz, Tanner Rainey, Derek Hall, Emmanuel Valdez, Carson Fulmer, Caleb Ferguson, Adam Frazier, Tim Meza, Tommy Pham, and Andrew Heaney. They've got a good rotation.
I think I agree with that. I think this is a sneaky good rotation. And obviously you have your front end guys in Paul Skeens, who, for my money, is the best pitcher in baseball. If he isn't the best pitcher in baseball, he will be soon. Jared Jones, who was phenomenal last year when he was healthy. And then you get kind of the back half of the rotation with Mitch Keller, Andrew Heaney. Maybe it's Bailey Falter out of that 5 spot. I don't hate any of those guys.
I think this is a rotation with a lot of potential, and I think that's really impressive to say that there's still room to grow for a staff with a 1-2 punch like Skeens and Jones. Mitch Keller's been their guy for a while. He's been kind of the quiet ace of the staff. He's been their one when they didn't have Paul Skeens or Jared Jones. Andrew Heaney, recent signing, good veteran, good lefty. But when you look at the losses on this team so far, I'm not really that upset with any of them. I don't think they lost anything that is really a deal breaker. Yasmani Grandal started the season as the catcher, but you have, Henry Davis coming back into form. Andy Rodriguez is likely going to be returning from injury. Brian De La Cruz was someone you bought at the deadline. You thought you could turn him around into an offensive player, and he turned out to be one of probably the worst trade in Major League Baseball for a major league to major league player. And then you look at the rest.
He's on my all NRI team, or non-tender team, I should say.
He is on your all non-tender team, and even though he is an Atlanta Brave, I can't in good faith defend him. Do you look at the additions, though? Spencer Horwitz is the projected first baseman. He is, I believe, rehabbing an injury, so he won't be there to start the season. If
February 2025, he's supposed to be back, so I assume he'll be back after the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, right. It was a wrist surgery, so at first base.
That first base platoon might genuinely be an out of position Jared Triolo and an out of position Adam Frazier. So
not great, Jim.
Not great, and that's that's the heel of this offense is just they don't have that one good guy.
Yeah,
what do you mean? They have face of the league, Andrew McCutcheon.
As many good things as we can say about this rotation, I think, you can say just as many negative things about this lineup. I mean, Tommy Pham is your leadoff guy. Aniel Cruz is your 3-hitter. And I like Aniel Cruz as much as anybody, more than anybody, but IKF, you're starting shortstop batting 9. This is not a great lineup. And I like the fact that you brought up Sansoni, Henry Davis, because he's somebody that currently is not projected to even be on the roster, frankly, for the Pirates when they break for opening day. And he's somebody that was a former first overall pick, obviously came up through the system as a catcher. They tried him in the outfield. He hasn't really stuck in the outfield, hasn't hit, hasn't done very much at catcher either, but you would love for him to be the catcher of the future for this Pirates team, because right now your opening day starting catcher is Joey Bart, and that's really bad. To me, this is a lineup that
some respect on Joey Bart.
This is a lineup that just has a lot of flaws, and I'm not sure that there's any amount of pitching that can fix that.
Right. They may legitimately have 2 guys win the Cy Young, and it's okay, but
yeah,
our Cy Young, not the league Cy Young, to be clear.
Yeah,
and Eric Jones, the odds-on favorite right now.
Yeah, what's interesting, I think, is they have a lot of guys kind of on the precipice, a lot of player or prospects that are right on the precipice, and I think obviously that conversation includes Henry Davis. But you look at guys like, I don't know, you look like a Mike Burrows, for example, a Brandon Ashcraft, and Nick York, a bunch of guys that are kind of right on the precipice could make the team this year. And there are a lot of prospects that I really, really like. This is actually a point that Jake Mintz of Cespedes Family Barbecue made in the last week. It's a lot of prospects that you look at and you really like, and you have zero faith that the Pirates are going to find a way to make them work. And that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Anything else about the Pirates, or we move?
I think we might move.
We move forward to the team that finished second to last in last year's NL Central, the team that I picked to win the division last year, erroneously picked to win the division last year, the Cincinnati Reds.
Wait, hang on. I'm just remembering this. The Cardinals finished above your team.
They did. But I would argue that the Reds were better than the Cardinals, even though they didn't win as many games. I would argue they were still a better team.
All right, shut up. The Reds lost Ahmed Rosario, Justin Wilson, Buck Farmer, Luke Maley, Jacob Junis, Jonathan India, Joey Weimer, Ian Gibbett, and Fernando Cruz. they they added Brady Singer, Gavin Lux, Taylor Rogers, Jose Trevino, Austin Hayes, and Scott Barlow. Big names, big names. The question with the Reds that we've proposed every time that the Reds have done anything this entire offseason is, cool, where's he going to play?
Yes.
Hey, cool, you
Yes.
got Gavin Lux. Where's he going to play? Oh, hey, cool, you got Austin Hayes. Where's he going to play? They got Brady Singer. Cool. Maybe start Brady Singer over Hunter
Where's
Green.
he going to play?
Brady Singer's going to play, but
But I don't know. Like, obviously a homegrown team, pretty much. I mean, almost completely. Not completely, but like TJ Friedel, Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, Tyler Stevenson, Stuart Fairchild, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott. Huh?
Spencer Steer.
Yeah, I think he's on the IR, isn't he still?
Me when I'm
He
driving
is
with John's roommate, and I ask him to hold onto the steering wheel while I fix the radio.
Shout out Spencer. Two guys on the IL with Tommy John surgery. Shout out the Missouri baseball team. I don't know. I still like this lineup. They have Gavin Lux playing third. That's cool. Now, what are they going to do with Christian Encarnacion Strand when they want him to play? Who knows? First base. Well, who do they have at first? Heimer Candelario. You want to take a switch hitting guy out of your lineup?
See, that's the issue with the Reds right now, is we don't really know where they're going. and that's the enticing thing about the Reds, is you really, honestly, this is one of those teams I feel like you could literally put at any point in this division, finish first to fifth, and you can make a good reason for why. This team is just dripping with potential. McClain and De La Cruz as a turn two tandem, fantastic. I think they're one of probably the two most exciting middle infielders, like as a duo in baseball. Because you've got two bona fide young shortstops, and you have the privilege of having to kick one of them to second base. Look at the outfield.
You actually have a third too. He's just Noelvi Marte. So,
well, okay, so two of them and then a PED user. But
the PED users are fun.
He's eligible this year. He's eligible. He's unbanned.
But he throws another wrinkle into this infield. At the same time, a lot of these guys need to prove that they are going to be worth the investment of playing time, because there's so many people who are going to be demanding it behind them. Will Heimer Candelario continue his production? Because if not, Marte and Encarnacion Strand are right there.
Right.
This team suffers from major San Diego Padres syndrome, which is that the entire lineup is built out of middle infielders. And at a certain point, you're kicking guys to the outfield, and you look at, whether it be TJ Friedel or even Will Benson, who came up actually as a second baseman. How much can a middle infielder learn how to play outfield at the major league level? How good are they going to be defensively? And are the bats going to be good enough to make up for that lack of defensive production? I think this is a roster that's built very poorly. I think it's a very good roster, but I think it's a roster that's built very poorly.
I think I like the bullpen. Can somebody tell me when Graham Ashcroft?
You were dissing on him, but I'm a big Scott Barlow.
Okay, can somebody tell me when Graham Ashcroft became a relief pitcher?
They just don't have room in the rotation.
For him. Got it. Yeah. That sounds good.
Like if they were going to go to a 6-man rotation, or if somebody got hurt, Ashcroft would jump back into the rotation. But for now, he's kind of the odd man out, long reliever type.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. Brent Suter.
I'm intrigued, really. I think this is the perfect time to have Terry Francona, because you have an identity that needs to be established as a team. I don't know how much longer he's going to be a manager. Again, this is his first year with the Reds, but he's one of the older managers in the league. Every other time he's left has been for health reasons. I hope for his sake that he coaches as long as he wants to coach. But it comes to the point where, this is someone who has decades of experience at the highest level. I think this is a team where I feel like I should be high on the Reds, but I also feel part of me should be low on the Reds. I don't know how I feel about the Reds, really. They're really confusing me. I feel scared. I feel hurt. I don't want to talk about the Reds anymore.
With that, we can move forward. Thank you for that natural segue. The St. Louis Cardinals, maybe the most boring team in Major League Baseball.
That's right.
Major offseason losses. This one major as in size, Lance Lynn. And then Kyle Gibson, Keenan Middleton, Paul Goldschmidt, Andrew Kittredge, and Matt Carpenter. Their major offseason acquisition, Michael Hellman, who I have quickly learned is not the heir to the mayonnaise throne.
Yeah, that's two N's, I think, on the end.
Yeah, and there's a apostrophe S.
This Cardinals team last year was extremely young, and they were bad because they were extremely young in the field. The pitching staff was very old, and they were bad because they were very old. Now you still have that very young, very inexperienced infield, and I think this is kind of a prove-it year for a lot of guys insofar as if you're the Cardinals, really have to figure out if, we'll say, I don't know, like Michael Ciani is going to be somebody that's in your long-term plans. Is Alec Burleson in your long-term plans? How about Victor Scott? Like, are these guys that are going to be around a lot in the future, or do your young guys also suck not just because they're young, but because they suck? And if that's the case, then the Cardinals are in a really bad spot.
Go ahead, John.
Wow, this team's bad. And I don't think it's their fault. I don't think it's the players' fault. I think the ownership is really, really complacent, and I think they are really fortunate that that's a fan base that's going to continue to show up for them because, again, this is a young.
Actually,
are they? They were.
Well,
they had the
for the first
time
couple
under
weeks,
3 million attended.
For the first couple weeks,
Cool.
they'll
The
be there.
season's
Just
5 months long.
Point
That's the
being,
thing. Like they had their first. Like my issue with the Cardinals is not even who's on the damn team. My issue with the Cardinals is that the damn front office walked into their meetings in the offseason and went, okay, everybody see John Mozilak, or however you say his stupid last name. Everybody see him. Their GM, right? Everybody went, you see him? So he's going to work out this year, but he's already been fired. He's going to call it a retirement, and we've already hired the guy who's going to take it over. But he doesn't get to make any decisions yet. So it's all Mo's job. It's all John's job to do this. But he doesn't care because he's getting fired and he's retiring, and he doesn't like the Cardinals in the first place because they're firing him. So what do you have? You have a lineup. You have a lineup here for the Cardinals that has two men in this projected starting lineup that were brought up with a different team. There are 7 guys on this team that were brought up in the St. Louis organization, and I'd say, I don't know, 4 of them deserve to play, maybe. Mason Wynn, I'll take that. Alec Burleson, sure. Lars Nootbaar, figure out how to hit the baseball, we'll be fine. And Nolan Gorman. Jordan Walker probably will suck within the first 3 minutes of the season.
He's hurt.
Ivan Herrera is not a catcher. You know who is a catcher? Wilson Contreras. We're going to make him play first, though. This team is just so unbelievably poorly ran. And I don't know why I'm heated about it, because I don't like them. I like to see them be terrible. I like to see every single baseball fan in this state go, oh, man, our team sucks, when they've got a team that's going to win the damn division on the western half of the state. Thoughts?
I don't know why you're mad about it either. I'm going to be so real with you.
Yeah. Seems like very unnecessary energy you're putting out right now.
This is a young team, and I think they are rushing some of their prospect timelines. I really do. I'm worried that J.J. Weatherhold's going to come up way too early, and he might have
that
a bit of
would be
ejection,
very bad for him.
which would be really bad for him because
I don't want to see JJ Weatherholt in the major leagues.
Right, you've got
really
Michael Ciani and Victor Scott as fighting each other for center field, Lars Nootbaar, and then normally Jordan Walker. Maybe that means both center fielders get to come up instead, but just you can't tax the depth in service of the prospects, and you can't tax the prospects in service of the depth. You need to make sure that this is a team that's going to develop. And maybe you're right, John. Maybe John Mozeliak is like he's halfway out the door already, which is true.
He's halfway out the door.
And Shane Bloom is just sitting there waiting. Maybe I haven't been, thankfully, in the St. Louis Cardinals front office yet. I don't want to be. Don't put me there.
We're putting you there.
Look,
sorry. No more speaking because it's all Mo's decisions.
And it hurts me to say, but baseball's culture, like, you don't want to see a team like the Cardinals necessarily, unless you're like a Cubs fan or John for some reason, necessarily want to see this fan base just completely evacuate and leave their team, because you never really thought it would happen. So
bad for the sport.
It's bad for the sport. So hopefully the ownership figures it out. Hopefully the team on the field overperforms. I don't know why Ollie Marmol's still there, to be perfectly honest with you. We kind of didn't talk about it, but I don't know.
Neither does he.
So
I think like the biggest.
No, go.
I think the biggest look into this team is like Nolan Arenado is still on the team. He's at spring training right now playing for a team he doesn't want to play for. Just trade him.
A team who shopped him all offseason.
To be fair.
Huh?
He did that in 2019 with the Rockies.
Cool. Go get something for him. You didn't pay 42% of his contract anyways.
I'm not sure that Nolan Arenado even has that much value left. His Gold Glove days are behind him. He hasn't been a plus defender in about 3 years. And yes, 2022, he had, in my opinion, what should have been, an MVP season. Lost out to Paul Goldschmidt, his teammate. Those days are behind him too. He's slow. He's older now. He was never particularly quick, but he's really slow. He doesn't slug as well as he did when he was at Coors Field. I just think that the shine has come off of Nolan Arenado. And you talk about guys who are a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame. I still think he gets there. But you talk about guys that were a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame halfway through their career and then have shot themselves in the foot repeatedly over and over and over again. This is now the second time that Nolan Arenado has requested a trade. Second franchise has requested a trade from. And the reason for both trades is because he wanted to be on a winning team. Well, you had winning pieces around you and you couldn't win. The Cardinals went to the playoffs 3 years with him and won 0 games. He's won more playoff games as a Rocky than he did as a Cardinal. That's not necessarily the Cardinals' fault. I think Nolan Arenado maybe is not a very good culture guy. And I say this as somebody who grew up idolizing him. I say this as somebody who still has his jersey in my closet over there. I think the shine has come off of Nolan Arenado. Front offices now are seeing him for the old and ineffective player that he currently is and not the all-star that he used to be. And I think that the reason that he hasn't been traded from the Cardinals isn't necessarily the Cardinals' fault. I just don't know that there's too many teams that actually want him right now.
I think the Yankees need a third baseman.
I think we've given
a
pretty bad team. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think the Yankees need a third baseman.
Sansoni day today? Or is it just Lieber interrupts Sansoni day today? Is that what's happening? It kind of seems
the Yankees
like
need a third baseman. Arenado has basically said that he'd go to the Yankees, and yet dead John Mozeliak, however you say his name, I don't know, I've said it wrong 6 times and once on air, is just sitting at spring training like, oh, it's real nice to be out here in Florida for last time for spring training. Yeah, I'd like to trade him, but he's going to show up to spring training either way. So I don't know. We can move. We move?
We should move.
Yeah, we should have moved about 20 minutes ago. The team that finished second last year, the Chicago Cubs.
The Chicago Cubs lost Kyle Hendricks, Jorge Lopez, Yency Almonte, Christian Bethencourt, Drew Smiley, Brennan at Davis, Albert Alzolay, Patrick Wisdom, Nick Madrigal, Mike Talkman, Isaac Paredes, Hayden Wesneski, Cody Bellinger, Matt Mervis, Miles Mastrobuoni, Juan Bello, Thomas Nito, and Yan Gomes. They added, however, Eli Morgan, Matt Thais, Matthew Boyd, Kyle Tucker, or Abraham Lincoln, Carson Kelly, Cody Poteet, Vidal Brujan, Caleb Thielbar, Colin Ray, Ryan Presley, John Birdie, Ryan Brazier, Justin Turner.
It's a whole different team.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel good.
Not.
You go ahead, John.
No, please go. No, please go.
I mean, it's ridiculous at this point.
It's just
not doing
it's
it
so
on
funny.
purpose.
It's just a bad coincidence. I feel really good about this team. I think the Cubs have really, really bought in. And it shows. It shows with the acquisition of Kyle Tucker and the players you moved to get that done. Really shows your willingness to buy in. You move Isaac Paredes, you move Hayden Wesneski, you move one of your top infield prospects, and you do that all to get Kyle Tucker, someone who, honestly, shores up a big need for you in the outfield because Seiya Suzuki hasn't been playing defensively the way you want your right fielder to play. He provides enough value with the bat when he's healthy to be a valuable DH that takes over for Isaac Paredes for the most part. But otherwise, this is a team with a whole different identity than the last time that the Cubs, even won the World Series. Think about how different this team has been. You look at a completely revamped pitching staff.
The only player from that team right is Ian Happ.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Have one of the longest streaks in Major League Baseball without a playoff win. Can either of you tell me when was the last time that the Cubs won a playoff?
Game 7 of 2016.
It was 2017. They won a game in 2017. They haven't won one since. It's been almost a decade.
Who they lost to in 2018?
I do.
The Colorado Rockies.
That's right.
2-1?
2-1. Extra innings, 13 innings. This is a Cubs team, to Sansoni's point, that is very different than they were last year. Are they better than they were last year? To me, that remains to be seen. I think on paper, yes. I think Kyle Tucker is a better player than Cody Bellinger, and you're going to be happy that you went out and got Kyle Tucker. But I also look at this lineup, and what I see when I look at this lineup is Matt Shaw, who has not yet made his Major League debut, to my knowledge, starting at third base to start your season. Right, third base is kind of a marquee spot in a Major League lineup. You want a lot of offensive production from your third baseman. Somebody that hasn't played a single game of Major League Baseball and you're wanting them to be a contender for the division, that's a big trade-off. I look at this rotation. I see the second half of this rotation, and I see names like Colin Rea, Matthew Boyd, even Jamison Tyone, who have had spurts of success, but they haven't sustained it. They came up in other systems. Maybe the Cubs can get the best of them, or maybe they can't. This is a Cubs team that I think could either be a 95-win division champion, go to the NLCS type team, or they could completely blow up on launch and miss out on a playoff spot by 15 games. And neither of them would really surprise me. Neither of those would surprise me.
Yes.
It's my turn. Can I get an explanation on how your number one organizational prospect didn't get a roster in, but he got a not NRI? Why is he not on the 40-man?
Who knows?
Can I get a second explanation of if he's not on the 40-man, why is he your projected third base starter when Justin Turner's on your team? Who is on the 40-man?
Justin Turner is also like 40 years old, and we're not sure that he can actually play.
He's 40, man.
40.3 according to FanGraph. I don't know what does that mean? What does 40.3 mean?
He's only a third of a 40.
Oh, okay. No, I think he's only a
No,
third
he's
of
40
41.
and a third. Very different.
Yeah. Bus, I completely agree, though. Cool. Shota Iminaga and Justin Steele. Congratulations. Good start to your rotation. I am terrified if you have to pitch past game 2 in the World Series.
Javier Assad is
the-
really good, but
I
that
like
injury
Ben
He'll be
Brown.
back. That is true.
and we don't necessarily know when he's supposed to be back, right? Like that popped up
February 2025.
Yeah, that popped up. That injury popped up super recently, and we just don't necessarily know if he's going to be good to go by the start of the season. Like,
Right.
there's just question marks surrounding Assad. I mean, he also had some starts towards the end of his campaign last year, which got shortened, obviously, by injury. But there were some starts by the end of his campaign last year that were dreadful. So I'm not sure that he's a sustainable guy either. Of course, I thought that about Justin Steele last year, and he had another good year. So maybe I'm just wrong about the Cubs in general. But there's just a lot of questions that I have about this rotation.
They also still have guys like Caleb Killian, Jordan Wicks, Ben Brown, Cody Putti. That's the thing. And like in their minor system, in their farm system, there's a ton of starting pitchers that they're probably going to end up calling up. Brad Keller got an NRI for them. Chris Flexen, Cade Horton, who's their number 3 overall prospect. Like maybe you make that move at some point. I guess you look at it to be like, how bad are we, and do we need a little jump start? But I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about this team, which is why I have no idea how to feel about my predictions for the NL Central. I don't know if you guys are all in the same
one team
boat.
left before we have to do our predictions, so you better shirt up.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Any final thoughts on the Cubs, or should we move forward?
Let's talk about the team just a bit to the north on Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan. But this team does not play in Michigan. They play in Wisconsin. That is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Anson.
Really?
The Milwaukee Brewers lost Joe Ross, Willie Adames, Wade Miley, Owen Miller, Colin Ray, Brea, Gary Sanchez, Frankie Montas, Hobie Milner, Devin Williams. But they did add Grant Wolfram, Nestor Cortez, Caleb Durbin, Grant Anderson, Manuel Margot, Mark Canna, Jose Quintana. And I'm gonna go out on the limb here and say I think they took back Wrigley North. I think it's back to being whatever terrible name they want to call it right now, AmFam Field. Until the first series, and then it's probably over. Cool. I think they might win the division again, just because the other teams in the division are going to look stupid for half the year.
It's hard to bet against the Brewers, and I don't think the Brewers are a particularly well-built team. I don't like a lot of players that they have, but they win every year despite me feeling that same way every year. So at a certain point, I got to stop, right?
I worry about the hole they have at third base. Because they moved Joey Ortiz, who came up as a shortstop in Baltimore. He came over in that trade with DL Hall for Corbin Burns. And he slides over to shortstop now. For like a half, not nearly enough for Corbin Burns and the Baltimore Orioles, Mike. But really, the third base hole right now is Fangraphs thinks it'll be filled by Oliver Dunn, a guy with an exactly 1 year of MLB service time, who was 469th in the overall power ranking, and who was projected as 0.7 WAR. You gotta, if there's someone still out there, you can try to fix it. They did shore up the rotation with Jose Quintana. I think
Does that count shoring up the rotation? Are we sure that?
Yeah.
Well,
as your 5, that's fine. As your 5, Jose Quintana is solid.
Because you look at
he's okay.
Well, you look at the pitchers.
This might be the most 16th best rotation in Major League Baseball I've ever seen.
Look at the injured starting pitchers they have.
I would say their injured are Aaron Ashby, DL Hall, Brandon Woodruff, Robert Gasser. And Woodruff got injured in October of 2023.
So right now you really don't expect Freddie Peralta, Tobias Myers, Nestor Cortez, Aaron Savali, and Jose Quintana is not going to be the 5 that ends the season. I guarantee it. is not terribly good, but it does show, kind of a weak spot. This pitching staff also, you lose Devin Williams, your closer for every time it's not been Josh Hader. Now you're looking at Trevor McGill.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
Look,
That's
your
really bad.
back three, your high leverage pitchers are Jared Koenig, Joel Payamps, and Trevor McGill.
Hey, don't talk bad about my boy Payamps.
I mean, you're looking at like Elvis Figueroa, Nick Mears. Like this bullpen sucks, dude.
It's not
And
good.
I feel like, I don't know, Devin Williams would make a big difference on this bullpen, I think. But
Yeah, you should trade for him.
this is going to be very difficult for Milwaukee to find outs, at least at the start of the season, at least until your starters that you want, once you're getting ready to get into September, get ready to get into the playoffs. Until those guys are ready to go, it's going to be very difficult to chase outs for this Milwaukee team. And they've got good players in the lineup other than at third base, but like they're going to be chasing a lot of outs, and I'm not sure that it's going to go too well for them.
So, anything else about this not good Brewers team, or should we get to putting the list down?
I believe we moved.
We
Looks
shall
like
move now into our rankings from worst to first for how these NL Central teams are going to go this year. Starting with Mr. Sansoni, we work clockwise from Sansoni to me to Lieber. We're going 5-1. Mr. Sansoni, start us off. Who do you have losing in the loser division of the NL Central?
Cardinals. I think they're going to regress. They're going to regress from being bad. And I think and you kind of spelled it out in the projections on this sheet, but I think the three, like, anyone in this division is not breaking 100 wins. They're not going to be going very far in the postseason. But there ultimately someone does have to go. I don't think it'll be the Cardinals. I think they have nothing going for them. Nothing.
Yeah, there's not too many organizations in Major League Baseball that I think are in a worse spot than the St. Louis Cardinals. And that stinks to say because the point you made earlier, H, about, you need those fans in baseball. You need people like St. Louisians who care so much about baseball for Major League Baseball to continue to be a major power sport. This year is really going to test how many of the best fans in baseball really are the best fans in baseball. This team is going to finish last in the division. It's not going to be close. This is just a stinky team. Just a stinky team.
Ditto.
Okay.
John, who's your number two? Who's finishing second to last?
Okay, you didn't want to say anything else about the Cardinals?
He got it all out earlier. Don't worry.
Listen.
Yeah,
they're terrible. I hope they actually lose 123 games.
You're going to get the monkey off the White Sox back, right?
And to be honest, and let's be fully for real, they may lose 110. So
they might lose 100.
They might get close.
I could see that. Mason Wynn's good. Outside of that, Mr. Sansoni.
Trade Wilson Contreras, please.
I think fourth worst team in this division is the Pirates. I just don't think they have the offense. I think their defense is fine. I think their pitching staff is pretty good, actually. I don't think they have the offense. Brian Reynolds is not who he was. O'Neal Cruz swings like he has a hole in his bat. When he makes contact, it's loud, but he's also learning a new position. How much does that take away from his focus on his offense? Spencer Horwitz was a guy that you brought in for bat instability at first base, and he won't even start the season with you. What happens with Joey Bart? What happens with Endy Rodriguez? What happens with Henry Davis? What happens with, where's Brian Hayes? Can you find him?
He's batting
I just don't love the offense here, so I don't think it'll carry him.
I also have the Pirates finishing second to last in this division. I see them as a 75-win team, but maybe a fun 75-win team. They're very similar in my mind to this year's Washington Nationals, and that they're not going to make noise this year. They might next year, And there's some pieces that by the next time that the Pittsburgh Pirates make the playoffs, the cornerstones of that team are already on the team right now, right? In Paul Skeens and Jared Jones. I just think that there are a lot of holes they need to plug. They need to do it in free agency. They haven't done that this offseason. They're a year or two away.
I also have the Pirates. I think you're absolutely right. I like a 75 win, 70-ish win team, maybe 10 games under 500. Fun to be a team. They had like a really randomly good like May last year, if I remember right, which was just like very confusing. They won like 20 games or something, or like 15 or 20 games. It was like, are they gonna be good? And then they called up Paul Skeens, and then the rest of the team went, nah. So like, I don't know. Like I agree. Fourth place, solid team, not as bad as the Cardinals, not as good as the next three. John.
All right, number 3.
Your third place finisher.
I have the Cincinnati Reds.
Ooh.
I think this is going to be a really fun team to watch. But I feel like the wheels are going to fall off at one point, not unlike what you said about the Pirates, or not unlike what happened this past season. I feel like they're going to be fun for stretches. They're going to have a really interesting... Are you getting blasted with the sun, Adam? What just happened?
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but the sunset is coming right through my window right now. Which
It seems as if the sun is still up in Colorado, but not in Columbia.
It's true.
And look, it's a mixed bag for me in Cincinnati. I think, I'm excited to watch. I think this will be a team I will like to watch, regardless of how it's going to happen. I think this is the same thing as you said about the Pirates. This is going to be a fun, like 80 to 85 win team.
The team that I have finishing third in this year's NL Central is the Milwaukee Brewers. I doubt the Milwaukee Brewers every single year. Eventually, I have to be right about them. That's just the law of averages. I don't like their position player group. I don't love their rotation to start the year. It'll get better as the season progresses, but I think by that point, they're going to be in a big enough hole that it almost just doesn't matter anymore.
I have the Reds. The only reason I have the Reds is like, I know I just said this and like, no, duh, like that's what these standing projections mean. But like, yes, the Pirates are better than the Cardinals, but the Reds are better than the Pirates. Okay, well, the Reds are better than the Pirates, but like, are they better than the other two teams? No. I also question how much aura can take you into the playoffs. And I don't think it's true. This is baseball.
Yeah, this is not the NBA. Although in baseball we call it the power of friendship, not aura. And the Mets, get pretty far last year. So I'm just saying.
True. My only thing though is I will say they will be still fun to watch. However, I'm very excited to know that the entire lineup is not still on the MLB Top 100 pipeline. So I won't be getting a notification every 5 minutes when Matt McClain singles. Thanks, Matt. Thank you for finally not becoming a rookie.
All right. I have the Milwaukee Brewers at my 2. And I don't think this is more of a 2 on a technicality. Like, I don't think they'll be more than a game ahead of the Cincinnati Reds. And a lot of it is just I worry about that pitching staff. I really do. Is this just not good? And you don't know how long it's going to take for these injured players to get back to you. And even then, some of them are still unproven. They're young guys who might have been good, for the time they weren't injured, but how much of that's a flash in the pan? What are you going to see from, can Jackson Churio avoid the sophomore slump? Can you see, who's going to step up in Willie Adames' absence? It's just, William Contreras, I think, is the one player I'm certain will be good on this team, and everyone else I'm just completely nervous about.
Jackson Churio.
The team that I have finishing second in this year's National League Central is, because I'm building drama, the Chicago Cubs. I think the Cubs are a playoff team. I think they're a wild card team. They'll have 85 to 90 wins. I'm very intrigued by their top flight players. But at the end of the day, like, you look at this rotation and there's not a lot there. And you look at even Shota Imanaga, who had a phenomenal rookie season, but he's 31. The aging curve is going to catch up to him at some point. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be this year. But if it is this year, that could surprise some people. I think the Cubs are a very good baseball team. I just don't think they're going to put it all together this year, and I think it might take a regime change before they are able to actually put it all together. It's been a while since they've been to the playoffs. That might not change this year.
I have the Milwaukee Brewers. I think the Brewers rotation will end up being better than the Reds rotation. I know it's not great right now, but I think over 162 games, they will outperform them. And I know the Brewers have holes across their infield, and they don't really know who's going to take Willie Adames' spot in the lineup and stuff like that. But it's like, I kind of trust the Brewers. The way you keep doubting the way you keep doubting the Brewers, I have to keep going with the Brewers, because it's like, what can't they do? They figured it out. They traded Corbin Burns and they won the division. Like, I don't know. I like the Brewers. John, you're number one.
Chicago baseball Cubs. I feel like they put so much effort into this season already before it's even started. I'm high on Kyle Tucker. I think he has a really big bounce back season, which is funny to say for someone who's been a perennial like top 10 to 15 player when he's healthy, but it's the when he's healthy part that kind of is the tag at the end. I like Michael Busch. I think he's consistently improving. Say Suzuki at the DH, who knows how he'll fare. Matt Shaw. I'm excited about Matt Shaw. I think this is a staff and this is a team to be excited about. Again, I don't think the division winner of this league is going to be a fantastic team, but I think they'll do enough.
I, by process of elimination, have the Cincinnati Reds winning the NL Central again this year. I was wrong last year. This year I'm going to be right. The reason that I'm going to be right this year is because they have a lot of guys, to John's point, that were in the top 100 prospects last year. They have a ton of talent. Some of them came up and had great years last year. Some of them came up and had not so great years last year, including in the rotation, including Nick Lodolo, including Green. Those guys are shirt up now. Your lineup is shirt up now, and it's a prove it year. It's been a long time since Cincinnati has been playoff relevant. If not now, then when? I think, in my opinion, from a front office perspective, from a management perspective, if they don't make the playoffs this year, heads will roll. And when you're in that sort of situation, you tend to see teams really, really pushing. And when teams really, really push, especially when they're young, especially when they have this much talent, it tends to garner good results. I think the Reds are going to go out and do it this year.
You said heads would roll. Sorry.
All right, this guy.
Lieber complaining about somebody interrupting him. That's ironic.
You may call me crazy. You're allowed to.
You're crazy.
Fair enough. I think the Cubs are a 100-win baseball team. I think that they get at least 95 wins. Let's be real. They get to play the Cardinals and the Pirates for 22 games. I don't know. I like them. I think that their lineup is great. I do think that they'll need pitching help down the line, and I think they'll just acquire it at the deadline. Yeah. But I'm interested to see how this division actually ends out because it is a very interesting division.
It's an interesting division. Is it? I think it's a boring division. I think most of these teams are bad. There's a couple teams that are intriguing, but
I think
wouldn't
it's
call it.
beautiful
I think the
in its
intriguing
simplicity.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful and it's simplicity.
That is what he sounds like, to be fair. H, that's what you sound like.
Yeah, go cry about it. All right. Well,
He will,
with that
too.
being said, he probably is going to like call us crying later. Oh God, can't believe we have to deal with that.
Do we want to close
With
the
that
show
being
out?
said, huh?
Do we want to close the show out?
No, we have grid.
Yeah, we closed the show out with grid. Shall we do the grid?
Oh yeah, time to close the show out with the Immaculate Grid. The Immaculate Grid is a 3x3 grid with 9 cards in it. I'm
Just
speaking.
like it's
Mr.
almost like we
President,
don't have
Mr. President, Mr. President, I'm speaking. The rows today are Cleveland team, Tampa Bay Rays, and the LA Dodgers. The columns are the St. Louis Cardinals, the Texas Rangers, and then All-Star. Also, I'd like to be clear. The Cleveland baseball team shows up a lot on the grid whenever we do it, and I always call it the Cleveland baseball team. That's not because I'm like not gonna say not because I don't say the Guardians, but like they've only been the Guardians for like 4 years. So to preface, it's like all of their history. I'm not racist.
You don't have
Anybody
like,
have
what?
anything? What?
All right, for the Cardinals and the all right.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Huh?
John Axford.
Who?
John Axford. St. Louis
Where?
Cardinals, Cleveland Guardians.
Axford. All right, go ahead.
For the Rays and the Cardinals, I have Taylor Motter. Motter. I thought about Richie Palacios, but that was an in-season deal.
Taylor Motter, 0.3%. Bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, brah. Doing a great job, everyone.
Guardians.
Tampa Bay.
Go ahead.
Go. No, you go. I was just saying Tampa Bay.
Guardians, Rangers, Cole Calhoun.
I like that one. Is it not spelled with the... Oh, it's not. Interesting.
Rays and Rangers.
Sure.
Jake Diekman.
Ooh, I like that. That's good.
I love that guy. I actually hate that guy a lot, but... Ooh, 1%, the highest on the board today, John.
Mr. Lieber, do you have one to contribute, or are you going to sit there like a czar?
I kind of like just sitting here.
Fine. Okay, that's fine.
Cardinals,
they're an
Dodgers.
all-star. See.
Colton Wong.
Yeah. Is that also spelled with a K? I'm just going to put Wong in. It is spelled with a K, by the way.
Spelled with a K. Rangers, Dodgers. Friend of the program, Shelby Miller.
It's true. It's true. Not to be confused with enemy of the program, Miles Straw.
We do not like him. I also don't like Jake Marisnick, but we don't talk about him.
What? Really?
However, I'm pretty sure I only don't like Jake Marisnick because I always get Jake Marisnick and the guy we just talked about confused. Miles Straw. Because they play the same position and they both suck.
Be nice to Jake Marisnick. I love using him on grid.
We know. It kid me off.
All right. We just have the All-Stars left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rays All Star? No. It's Cardinals. Remind me what the rows are again?
Cleveland, Tampa Bay, LA, Dodgers.
Cleveland.
Cleveland, or as some call it, Cleveland.
For Cleveland, I'm feeling a little Justin Masterson, perhaps.
Ooh.
I have a question first. Wait,
Yeah.
hang on, let me read this. Okay, never mind. I was wondering if you could use like the manager as the All-Star, but you can't.
Harry Franco.
All right, who were you saying for Cleveland All-Star? Sorry.
Justin Masterson.
Sure.
I'm on my A game today, boys.
Rays All-Star?
I know. I'm trying to think of like, I mean, the Rays are always just like a random team with like 6 guys on it for no reason. So like, I feel like there's got to be somebody that like is like why did they have that many people?
I've got the Dodgers to close it out. So if somebody has Tampa, throw it out, and I'll slam the door closed with my Dodger.
Tampa, Wilson Ramos. Did he appear as an All-Star?
I have no idea.
I think so. I think that works.
We put him in.
Yeah.
I did 0.2. Wow. And who's your Dodger?
We close it out with the Dodger All-Star, second baseman D. Strange Gordon.
Love that. I'm going to read out the percentages before we go.
Please.
Like I have not put D. Strange Gordon in. I just want to like build up this rarity score. 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.3, 1, 0.2, 1, 0.2. Are we on track here? With a 4.
4's up. 4's up.
And with that, the 2025 MLB season comes to an end.
Whoa, what?
It hasn't even started yet. This is ridiculous.
All right, well, I'll give you the normal stuff I normally tell people. Hardest spot on the grid today was Cleveland, St. Louis. The number one answer there was Andrew Miller. We did not use a single number one answer. I don't know if that's obvious or not. Is there any number one answer you guys would like to know?
No.
Okay, fair enough. And with that being said, thank you for listening to The Chatting Average. And I implore you to follow the Chatting AVG on Twitter or X, whichever you call it, XD.
Nothing happened. Oh, man. Oh. I was so close.
You were like as far off as you possibly could be. I would say you were not close enough, frankly.
What else? If you're listening on Spotify, give us a rating. Actually, if you're listening anywhere that you listen to podcasts, I think you can give us a rating. Download the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you work at Jersey Mike's, email me. I want a sponsorship deal.
Also, if it's your birthday, happy birthday.
Yes. However, not my. Did you know that me and John's mothers share a birthday?
I did not know that.
February 28th.
Because you don't listen to John and John, do you? Interesting.
No, I don't.
February 28th.
Have a job and a 401k. So.
Do you actually have a 401k?
Why would he not? They like match it. Every employer worth a darn matches your 401k.
Do I look employed?
No, yes, you're living in a dorm because you're an RA. We already had this conversation.
That's an appointment.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to The Chatting Average. For John Sansoni and Adam Busak, I've been Lon Jeber. Thank you, and have a great night.